Hey everybody, it's Heather Christie with the Evolve to Win show. And today, Thanksgiving week, it's a big show. I've got Ray Higdon with us. Hey Ray.
Hey, what's happening? Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you on this show. And I can't believe I haven't had you on this show previously. And yet it's kind of perfect timing because you and Jess just launched your book. And I literally escalated this so fast. When I got into your book, I'm like, we need you on now. Can you do it? So I so appreciate you clearing your calendar. I know we've got just a short time together, but thanks so much for being on.
Hey, I'm honored. Love to be on.
All right. So for those of you who don't know Ray Higdon, you need to know Ray Higdon. And there's just a couple of things that I want to point out. He's got such an extensive, amazing background, but it really is his story that is so compelling and where he came from and where he is now. And like hold tight for where he's going to. But, a couple of things about Ray. First of all, extraordinary coach. He's an absolutely extraordinary coach. And the way that you coach people, Ray, and how you hold them to a higher level of just personal accountability is incredible. It's inspiring.
Oh, thanks.
And the other thing is
from a great coach. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. And not only are you an awesome coach, you're totally coachable. Like he's pulled in some extraordinary coaches in his world, which he might talk about too. But he's also been able to translate his coaching ability into his public speaking persona, right? Like you have just killed it on stage. And by the way, biggest stage so far, how many attendees have you spoken in front
of? Do you mean where I was a speaker or our own event?
Yeah, no, where you were a speaker.
Where I was a speaker, the biggest was I think 22,000, and which is definitely a lot for someone who is absolutely terrible and terrified of public speaking not that long ago. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. So it's absolutely incredible where you've taken your public speaking, and as a speaker, the amount of admiration, respect I have for you in that realm is incredible. But I think, in part, Ray, is because when you're on stage, you just give you, right? You're just real and people connect with you. They connect to you because of, they can see themselves in your story. And I think you really give people hope, right? Which is, and by the way, I have my signed copy of your latest Time, Money, Freedom.
Nice.
So Ray and his wife, Jess, own the Higdon Group, which is, a company that is here in Southwest Florida and yet is all over the world because he's got a client base. So one of your services that you offer is actually a sort of a coaching mentoring program, which is a membership site, right? And in that membership site, if I get the numbers right, you have about 14,000 members in your membership site, right?
Yes. Yep. A little bit over 14,000.
Okay. So, so think about this, like this just gives you an idea of one piece of Ray's business. So of those 14,000 members who are coming back daily, weekly, monthly for everything that they can consume from you, they're all paying $20 a month ish, right? For this membership site. So you all can just grab your calculators and do that math and start to understand that Ray's really tapped in to the magic of residual income. Now that's, again, just one income stream.
Yeah. And it's, I do work for it. So residual, you know what I mean? It's recurring.
Recurring is better. It's not passive.
For this particular, thing. Yeah. Because I do work for it. I mean, I love our membership. I go live every day in there and, do a quick training and action step. And so I don't want to misrepresent. I do work for it.
Yeah. So thank you for correcting that, because it truly is recurring, not residual. And so it's not passive. And yet this group shows up for you month after month and quite honestly, year after year. And it just keeps growing and expanding. And a lot of it is because of the results that you help people create. And so they hear about it from word of mouth and people are just, when you say you work for it, you really do. But here's the thing. I know for you, it comes from your passion, right? Like you're so passionate about what you do. You don't even think about being with this group every single day, going live every single day. So it's extraordinary.
Yeah, and I thank you. And we have a great team. So, I'm going in there for 8 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm out, and then our team steps in and answers questions and helps people. So, I do work in there, but we have an amazing team that we just, we couldn't do it without. But yeah, I was on a mastermind, I think last week, and the guy was like, all right, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine what would you be doing if you absolutely could do anything in the world. And I'm like, I'd be doing what I'm doing. Like, I love what I'm doing. and so like, I love, we do track production. So like in the last 2 years, we've helped our members gain over 200,000 new customers. And so like, we just love tracking production. We love, being performance-based. And yeah, we just love what we do.
That's so awesome. So again, yeah, it's the results that have kept this program going. It's, it would not be as successful as it is if it weren't incredibly valuable. So congratulations on continuing to bring that value and continuing to bring people back and into your conversation, really. And I think, one of the reasons I asked you on such short notice yesterday to find time for me, make time for me, is because as I got into your Time, Money, Freedom book that you wrote with your awesome wife, Jess, who is your business partner as well, right? And very, very engaged in everything you do at the Higdon Group. Is that I feel like I love the Thanksgiving time because there's, it's kind of like a time to get ready for end of year, sort of reset going into 2021 this year. And I think 2021 is going to be big after the 2020 we've just come off of. So I'm like, I want to get this into people's hands, during Thanksgiving if we can. So here's what I'd love to do is I'd love to talk to you a little bit about the book and just kind of it. I think, you share some of your real personal story in here. You did not have an easy childhood.
No. And I think, I think part of that is what drives me and what has me, involved in different things. So, my parents split when I was very young, and up until the age of 12, I was in a very abusive home with my dad and my stepmom. And so like literally every morning I was woken up by being thrown against a closet and stomped. And I, for many years of my professional career, I didn't share that stuff because that's, you don't talk about that stuff, right? But I've learned that, there's a lot, this sort of thing, whether it's, physical abuse, sexual abuse. I mean, we've heard trafficking, very unfortunate stories. Most people, like you're actually in the minority if you didn't have, some pretty serious issues growing up, it seems. And so I've learned that people need to hear that message. They need to see transparency if you've been through trauma or abuse, and also to, like you mentioned earlier, to give hope. I want to give hope that if someone has been through a tough time, that there's still hope. There's still hope to have good personal relationships, to have a thriving business, to have a great life. And, we like to, be an example, of that. And so, and we've been able to, hear a lot of stories of people overcoming things that were very, very tragic. Many stories much tougher than mine of people overcoming, not just surviving, but overcoming and actually moving into inspiration. One of the examples that's really close to my heart is, I'm wearing our reality show shirt here. And so we did a 2 seasons so far of a reality show called Play to Win, which you were on season 2. Yay.
It's so good. It is so good. If you haven't seen Play to Win, you got to check it out. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And in life, she had never shared her story of what she had survived and what she had overcame. Well, on the show, we just have a way of helping people open up and address, things that are there, but we're kind of ignoring. And, and she opened up to her past of physical abuse, sexual abuse, and even human trafficking. And so, she was a victim of trafficking, and she had never shared that before. And so, I encouraged her. I said, hey, obviously after saying, hey, I'm sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve that. You didn't, that shouldn't have happened. And it sucks that it did. But I told her, this, could be an opportunity for you to inspire some people that have gone through similar things that may not have any hope. And, we give that input and advice to people all the time. Sometimes they run with it. Sometimes they don't. Well, she ran with it. And like within a week or so, she was speaking at women's abuse centers. And then just about, I think it's now been maybe 2 months ago, she spoke at the 17th annual International Human Trafficking Conference by the University of Toledo. And she shared her story with over 19 countries participating. And so like, that's inspiring, that someone that took, their past trauma and created inspiration out of it. And that is one of the main themes of the book is, whatever you've gone through, you can still create an awesome life. And whatever you've gone through could be inspiring to others if you just shared that.
It gives me goosebumps when you talk about Renee's story. And,
yeah.
I think you either get stuck in your past, right? And you let your past control your present, or you start to find those openings, right? And I think that's one of the things, Ray, that you're so good at is really helping people to find their voice and that transparency. And you leading that charge, I think makes such a huge difference. Your willingness to be open and come out and share what that was like for you. And, I look at you now. Now I've known you for a long time, right?
Long time, yeah.
So, and when
you were my very first business coach.
Oh, your very first. I'm not sure I even knew that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was, whatever, 2008.
2007, I think maybe it's 7.
You were for
sure. Yeah. So anyway, what I've seen of you and just the evolution of Ray Higdon, right? And it was not like, it wasn't this perfect line. So here's I think what people see a lot of times. They won't necessarily relate to you. You're making multi-millions now. You're a philanthropist now, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for charities. And so they look at you and they just see Ray as he is today. But I've watched Ray, and I've even seen Ray start to go like this and then go like this, right? Like 2008, 2009. What happened?
Yeah. I mean, I've failed in quite a few things. I mean, I've definitely failed in more things than succeeded. I had, an advertising franchise that didn't work at all. I had some success in real estate. When the market changed, I hadn't surrounded myself with mentors and coaches, and didn't know what to do, crashed. And so I literally lost it all. Was in personal foreclosure, dead broke, went through a divorce right around that time as well. So it was like fantastic. And, so it's, but looking back, although it didn't feel like it at the time, I needed all those things to happen. I actually wasn't very respectful. I wasn't a good steward of money. So, I'm flipping houses in Southwest Florida, making money, and I would just throw it into this investment and throw it over there. And I just didn't really respect money. I just thought I would keep rolling in. And I also just wasn't of a good energy. It was just like, it was make money to make money. And that was basically it. And so there was not a lot of joy, not a lot of fulfillment, not a lot of, hey, it's really important that I continue this work. It wasn't important, and it went away. And so, it has been a journey for sure. And, one of the things that we talk about in the book, rule number 2, is called pluck your weeds. Because the subheadline of the book is 10 simple rules to redefine what's possible and radically reshape your life. And so, one of the rules, number 2, is pluck your weeds. And just a constant looking at what bothers us, what is something that's incongruent with us, and identifying, can I fix it? Can I solve it? Can I replace it? What can I do about it? And real quickly, I'll share a very, very major and influencing weed that I plucked, and that was my trust issues. And so I never knew why, but I've always kind of kept people at bay. And, I can rock a stage and, 20,000 people, no problem. Like that doesn't give me stress anymore. Like that fires me up. I get excited. But if you want to chat afterwards and like ask me personal questions, no thanks. I'm out. I'll go to the hotel room. Let's not chat about that. And there were a few things that happened that made me realize I wasn't being the best husband for my wife, who's absolutely amazing and gorgeous and everything, right? And I'm like, why am I that way? Like, why don't I let people in? Why is the idea of taking a vacation with several couples for this charity trip that we were looking at? Why does that give me such anxiety? Like I like, it's like 5 couples, private island, private chef, private yacht, and I'm like, oh God, that sounds terrible. And my wife was like, yay, this sounds amazing. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? And so, I decided I'm going to figure this damn thing out. I'm going to pluck this weed. I'm going to figure it out. And it turns out, by working with different coaches and really diving into the mindset, it actually stems from something that happened in the 3rd grade, where I had confided with a guidance counselor all the different things that was going on at home, all the abuse and the abuse is the answer, right? And I shared all these different things with her. And then one day I walk into our weekly meeting, and there was my dad and my stepmom, and she proceeds to say everything I've ever told her, thinking that it was too outrageous to be real and that I was just seeking attention. And so she thought she was helping me, wasn't helping me at all. And from that day forward, literally, I haven't trusted people. If I keep them at bay, they can't hurt me. And so if I set up this, barrier, this wall, then they can't penetrate it and they can't hurt me. Well, that'll get you to a certain point in life, but it won't get you very, very many meaningful relationships. And that's something that is amazing to have if you can have that. And so if you have trust issues, it comes from something in the past, something that happened to you. And the biggest thing that helped me overcome this was the realization that, hey, not saying I'm perfect, but I'm a good guy. Like I like helping people. I like, I'm charitable. I like making an impact. I love success stories. I'm not out here doing bad things. If someone betrays me, which is always possible, if someone lies to me or someone steals from me, we had an employee steal $60,000 from us. And that was someone that we really trusted and everything. So these things happen, but if it happens, it's their loss, and so like that way of thinking of, let me not diminish myself and shrink myself for fear of being hurt, when it's their loss. And I wish more people would uncover that, because there's a lot of really amazing people running around on automatic programming that, are selling themselves short. They could be bringing more light to the world. They could be lighting more fires. They could be igniting more campaigns of good. And it's in such a needed time. And so a lot of the book is around that, is how to make a bigger impact, how to take your mess and make it a message, how to, take, the things that haven't been so great in your life and use those to propel you into a life that you love.
I'm so glad you talked about plucking the weeds, because it was actually the part of the book that I said to myself and then to you, we got to get this in people's hands. And so, the cool thing about the book is that it gives your story. So it's a compelling story to read, but it's like, clearly it's typical Ray and Jess fashion, which is, how do we translate this into practical application, right? What does it mean for you? And you actually bring us through in plucking the weeds to really talk about how to identify and what can happen in awareness, and how you can take that personal responsibility to actually pull yourself out of your past. And for those of you who are already reading it, I'm hoping that you are actually doing the work.
Because each chapter has action steps, and it's like, do this. And just to point out, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I was working at a county government. I worked for Collier County, and I'm in a cubicle, cranking away, working for the county. And, we've just been able to create an amazing life. And we share that, like, what steps did we make to go from the job that, really wasn't fulfilling to me, into a business, that is very fulfilling.
So, I actually interviewed a gentleman by the name of Terry Powell yesterday, who has this amazing company that really helps entrepreneurs, or people who are in a career who are suffering from, battered career, battered investor syndrome, helping them to take ownership of their career. And he stated some statistics, which I'm not even going to try to repeat because I'll mess them up. But the overwhelming majority of people out there actually have this entrepreneurial desire. But he said something like 95% of them are too scared to take that journey.
Yes.
So it's really interesting how, like, back-to-back interviews, you guys are kind of connecting the path, where I feel like some of the fear that people face of breaking out and becoming who they're meant to be, your book, your step-by-step action plan, could really help them get over some of those fears that they have, and some of the things that are holding them back from being their true selves, right? From experience some of the excellence that they truly deserve to experience.
For
So
sure.
I got
a lot of resistance when I started telling people I was leaving the corporate world. They're like, "You're throwing away 7 years of your life, and what about benefits?" And it's like, well, you can buy those. And and I didn't have a pillow, I didn't have a cushion. I'm not saying that my exact departure is the way to do it, but we do give steps on how to at least not have all your eggs in one basket, which is so important right now. With let's be honest. I mean, just 8 months ago, 7 months ago, there were a lot of people that had their career figured out. They don't have anything figured out now. And a lot of restaurant owners, a lot of small business owners that were not able to adapt. And so it's always a good idea to have additional income and income streams, or assets and things like that. And we do dive into that. We do talk about the money part of time, money, freedom.
Yeah. So I was laughing when you were talking about the way you left the corporate world. I too left the corporate world. Like, I left my law partnership. I think people to this day think I was nuts for doing that. Like, did you get a law degree, right?
I'm sure.
And yet it like, again, I'm going to say it again, the path is not perfect. You see Ray where he is now. And I believe that a lot of it came from persistence, for sure. But there was something that you did by tapping into that inner passion and knowing that there is something bigger out there for you. And I feel like that all of us have that, that desire inside for growth, right? To evolve. This is what the show is all about. Evolve to win, right? Like, we want to evolve, right? And that there are just some people who don't really know what that first step is. So I'm going to go out there and say the first step is to pick up Time, Money, Freedom. Ray, where do they go to get that?
Yeah, so it's a Hay House published book, so it's available at most bookstores and obviously Amazon. But we have a special page that has some information on it. If you wanted more than one copy, it's at higdongroup.com/bonuses. Higdon, Higdon, my last name, group.com/bonuses. And fun fact, I don't know if you knew this or not, but do you know how I left the corporate world my very last day?
I do. It was like your Jerry Maguire story, which is why I was totally smiling.
Yes, yeah. I did the Jerry Maguire exit. And so I didn't take goldfish. They had, and I know this sounds gross, especially nowadays with COVID, right? They had a community M&M bowl. Okay, don't be grossed out, but it's true. There was a bowl, bunch of M&Ms loose, just floating around in there, and people just dig their hands in. And I said, these M&Ms have manners. They have manners, and they're coming with me. And I took a bag, and it just so happens an intern, it was her last day. And I said, who's coming with me? Who's coming with me? And she goes, I'll come with you. And we went down the elevator together, and people were dying laughing. It was great. It was a great exit. I wish I filmed it. I wish I had the forethought.
Gosh, I love that story. And I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't know if you were going to tell it. So thank you for doing that. I know you're on a tight schedule. We've got less than 2 minutes left. I'm going to just hand it to you. Parting thoughts, words from you. What do you want to share?
Yeah. The one last kind of concept I'll share real quickly is that, if you embrace the idea of making more money, you can do more good. And, we, over the years, we've done, what we could, right, to help others and do it not out of, guilt or like, oh, I'm doing good, I better help somebody, but out of it makes me feel good, right? I do it selfishly because it makes me feel good. And it also makes me feel significant. Like what I'm doing means something, is doing something. And, know that you can only give so much of your time. At the end of the day, you got to put food on the table. You got to, pay bills. You got to spend time with your family. You can only give so much of your time. If you can just embrace the idea of making more money, you can do more good. We ran an event a month ago, raised $100,000 to help fight human trafficking. We raised over $500,000 for the March of Dimes to help with NICU, PICU, and premature babies. And so, all of that just makes us feel really good. And it makes us draw the conclusion that the bigger our business goes, the more good we can do, which is absolutely a fact. And know that, having lots of money doesn't make someone evil, bad, greedy, or whatever. It just makes them more of who they are. And so, it's not like poverty grants you righteousness or, morality or whatever. You just, your resources are limited. And so that's another, big concept that we have in the book of you making more money is a good thing. If you care about others, if you want to help others, you should have more capital so you can do more of that. So you can build those schools, build the water wells, the abuse centers, feed the homeless, or do whatever it is that has meaning to you.
And it's so clear that that's a big part of what fuels you. And I thank you so much for being with us today. I hope that you and Jess and all your 4 children, by the way, from age 1 to 22.
Yes.
That your family has just an amazing Thanksgiving holiday. So thank you, Ray. Thank you for writing the book too.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for always being a great coach as well. You're amazing.
Absolutely. You take care. So if you heard a message in this podcast today that you want to dive deeper into, of course, take a look at the book. I will post that link with the bonuses in the show notes for you. If you want to find our podcast, you can find it on your favorite podcast app. It's also on our YouTube channel. And go on Ray's page, Google Ray, start to get involved with his message. Just an incredible, incredible person. I appreciate you so much. I'm grateful for you.
Thanks for having me.